Yo, what's going on, guys? I know this is a different voice than what y'all have usually heard, but my name is Eli. I'm actually the founder and owner of Team Vile. I was the guy who started off from the very beginning, started all the social media accounts whenever it had 0 followers, and the team was actually created back in early season 2. Don't let that fool you though, I'm actually a really bad Fortnite player. Before the video starts, I want to give a big shout out to all the people that I could name off that I remember being in Vile. If I forgot your name, please don't get upset. It's just there was so many names, I had to look them all up. But so shout out to Mudpit, Envied, Slays, Xylo, Vidic, Sipo, Clutch Plays, Inception, Coda, Matty Melts, Zeluric, Monsters, Fifth, Sipo, Sith, Bray, Duck, Leo, Lance, Tetro, Snapsy, Lags, Biz, Magic, Severe, Dave, Evan, Oliver, Drufus, Xtornado, Corey, Wilson, Mojo, Life, Cherry, Eagles, Exor, Berg, Sevi, and Eber. I know I'm leaving out a few because I know there was a ton of people involved. So if I forgot you, don't worry. I still have you remembered. It's just that I just had to look through all the people that I was following. It took me a while to find those names. So if I don't have you in there, don't worry. You had an impact on Vile. I mean, everybody that even played in Vile or did anything had a huge impact. The team was first started off because I was really interested in business, and like I've just been a really big in the entrepreneur like status for a long time. That's just what I've loved to do. I started off when I was 11. I started doing game development. I used a program called Stencil. I did that for like 3 or 4 years, and I actually tutored a few people when I was like only 11 or 12 on how to use the software. So I made a few games and sold those games, and I helped a few projects and tutored some people. So that's just what I've always loved. I went on to do 3D modeling and project management, and then what my most recent big love has been social media management and marketing. That's just what I really love doing. That's the reason I really love running Team Vile's Twitter, because of the following we've gotten it up to. I'm not going to say me because it wasn't me. It was a team effort. Even if you're not still in Vile, you helped Team Vile's social media to where it's at. But Team Vile was made because I've just always wanted a team. I used to play CS:GO hardcore back in the day. I remember I had over 3,000 hours in the game. I don't know how much is that idle time, but I had a ton of hours on that game whenever I played when I was younger, when I was like 14 and 13. So I tried to make a team back then, but the game was already starting to slow down a little bit. That's when the trade bans and stuff, all that happened. So I always wanted to have a CSGO team. So Fortnite came out, and I downloaded it. Me and my brother played a good bit, so I started loving Fortnite. And then I remember one day, I know the exact position when I thought about this, but so in between Salty or Retail Row and Dusty Divot, there's a few trees in between there, beside the houses on the left when you're walking towards Dusty Divot. I remember I was breaking down the tree, and I was like, you know how cool it would be to have a Fortnite team? Because that was back in Season 2, beginning of Season 2. Because I played back in Season 1, but this was around the beginning of Season 2. I remember I was doing that, and I was like, you know what? That'd be pretty cool. I'm going to try and do this. So that's how Team Vile first started off. So I remember after I got out of that game, I was like, alright, so how am I going to do this? I already had a little bit of project management skills and stuff like that. So I was just like, how are we going to find the people and stuff? So I go to the leaderboards, on the solo leaderboards, and I start looking through. And I remember I was just scrolling through the top 50, I think it is, that shows. And I remember I saw, I probably messaged a good bit of people, but I remember the people that did message me back. So this was the OG Team Vile. This was Envied, Cherry, Monsters, Life, and Maddie. Those were the main people. The first 2 people that I remember getting to accept was Maddie was the first person that said yes. He had been on my friend list for a while. And then Life actually lives in my city, and he was the #1 ranked Alabama player at the time. And so I knew him kind of just through friends. So that's how I got those people. But Envied, Cherry, and Monsters, they just messaged me back, and they're like, yeah, this actually sounds really cool. Let's give it a go. So then, at that time, Monsters was like top 5 on the leaderboards for solo wins. And I remember I messaged Mudpit, and I sent him the same thing, and I was saying I was making a team and all that. And he never opened it or responded because he doesn't have his messages on. So I remember I had a Fortnite Instagram page before all this. Before I even started Team Val, I had a Fortnite Instagram page that I ran, and it was called Fortnite Union. And I remember I saw an ad that Mudpid put up saying that he was the #1 on the solo leaderboards. So I DM'd him from there, and I was like, hey man, I sent you a message and all that. And he was like, oh yeah, I have messages turned off. So we kept talking. I was at the beach when this happened, and I remember I was walking down the beach when I actually gave Mudpit my phone number, and we called each other. So I was giving him the whole rundown about what kind of expertise I have. And at this point, Team Val had been up for a little bit, so he wasn't as sketchy joining because he thought that it was actually going to be a legitimate thing. So we got Mudpit on the team from there. So the name Team Vile, actually how that came up is Life's actually the guy who came up with the name Vile, because I remember I was just DMing him one day on Instagram because we had been friends, and I was like, hey man, we got to figure out a name for this team. So so he's like, I really like the name Vile. So I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Let me look it up. So I looked up on other Twitter and Instagram pages, and nobody had really the name Team Vile. There was one, but it was really old, and somebody like abandoned the page. So we picked up Team Vile, and it stuck. Envied came up with the little like lowercase v, uppercase L. He was the one that came up with that. I wanted to do Vile actually because I thought it would be easier for people to notice and maybe get more like social media publicity. So we actually stuck with Vile or VL for our little like title, and that's Envy came up with that. The way we got Clutch on the team is I remember I joined Envy's party one time on Xbox, and I remember I saw this guy named I'm Clutch Plays in the party, and I was talking to him, and he was like, yeah, I'm streaming right now, and I was like, oh really, what's your stream? So I looked it up, and I think like he had like 120 viewers, and I was like, oh crap, I didn't know you're actually like a bigger streamer. I had never heard of Clutch before them. So then I started playing with them, and I'm like, Envy and Clutch are like a crazy good duo. So we did some squads, and I saw how good Clutch was. So of course I messaged him after a stream on Twitter, and I was like, hey man, we're looking for a few more players actually. Are you looking to join? He turned me down actually at the beginning. Said he was about to join another team. I forgot which team it was. So he turned me down, and then later he messaged me back, and he was like, hey, you still looking for that player position? And I was like, oh yeah, for sure, man. So we got him on, so we were all hyped about that because Envy and Clutch were already friends before then, and they had some good chemistry. So at the beginning of Team Val, I wanted to like give back a little bit to the players and stuff. So a good bit of them were streamers. So what I would do is I had like 2 or 3 Twitch accounts actually from like my brothers and stuff that had Amazon Prime loaded on it. So I would go into their streams, I would give them my Twitch Prime sub, so I would pick one random person a month, and I would sub all 3 accounts to their Twitch Prime, so they would get like whatever it is, like $2.50, it's like $7.50 I think is what they would have made. And then I would go out and buy iTunes gift cards and buy bits from the Twitch app, and I would donate bits to them. So that was like a little bit of payment that I would give them just because I really liked them as players and stuff, and I wanted Team Val to keep growing. But Team Val's OG squad, so like the first like 8 to 9 people, dude, that team was so unbelievable. I would say that at that time it was the best console team. I remember like the first few games they played, they dropped close to like a 40 bomb. That was like within just like the first 10 squad games they ever played together, they dropped close to a 40 bomb. But it was crazy. The skill level, professionality, everybody's mindset was just perfect for that OG squad. This is the fall of Vile. When it started slowing down I was pushing so hard for Vile. I wanted it to succeed so badly. Vile was a big part in my life. Like, I started it back in November of 2018, I think. 2017. November of 2017, I think. 2017 or 2018. It's one of those. It was a big thing. I spent countless hours per day just in, like, the DMs on the social media, just responding to people, trying to think of everything I could to further benefit Vile. And because I was trying to make every personal person happy too, because I was wanting to make everybody happy. I wanted everybody to get better. I just wanted all that. I was pushing myself so hard that I started getting really unmotivated. At that time when I just started Val, I just turned 17, so I was pretty young still. And so I just got unmotivated. I wasn't as active in the group chats for a week at a time and only respond a few times. So the fall of Val was mainly my fault, just because of my unmotivation. I think I just pushed myself too hard, and I was kind of starting to get tired of it, because we were going on close to a year by then. So then I tried to get everybody back going, and I was like, so we got kind of the flow back going. I was getting my motivation back for it. And then a lot of personal problems started popping up in my life. I'm not going to go into that, but a lot of the people that were in Val know a good bit about that. A good bit of personal problems happened in my life and family problems, and so I had to take a step back from then and fix all that. But I remember very clearly one day, this was a really hard day for me, because I'd put so much time into Val. It was a daily thing I did for the last like 8 or 9 or 10 months at that time. I was on a date with my girlfriend. We just went rollerblading. And I remember I looked at my phone, because I usually don't look at my phone when I'm with my girlfriend. I just like hanging out with her. So I remember I looked at my phone, and I pulled up Twitter, and I saw, like, all I saw in our group chat was just, like, this player left. All the names, like Snapsy, or not, no, Snapsy actually didn't. He stayed in for a while. Just, like, all the players at that time, it just said left, 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 left. And at that time we had, like, 30 members, and I looked at the member count, and I think I had 7. And like, with all in a 2-hour period, all that happened, I was like, wow, I'm a really bad manager if I just let this happen. It hit me for a while, and it got me down I'm going to be honest, it got me down, because that was a big part of my life, and just for it to randomly all stop, like, before all that happened, I wasn't 100% sure or saw that was all going to happen, so it just hit me really hard. And that was a hard point. But I remember specifically Zelurix. Even though there was only 7 people still in the chat, he stayed. He was the only player left from Vile in the team that stayed. And he was like, how can y'all leave Eli? He's put so much time into this, and y'all are just going to end Vile basically right off the bat. I was like, wow, that's crazy that one player would leave. I mean, one player would stay just to support me. And I remember I thanked him a lot, because he's the main reason I kept pushing. If it wasn't for him, I probably would have just ended it that night too. A lot of the players started tweeting out left Team Vile, and then they said it's been a good run and all that, which, like, I mean, I guess they assumed I was just going to end Val right there, since mainly everybody left, so everybody was saying it was a good run, when really I hadn't stopped it yet. So we pushed again, and I remember that night, Clutch saw those messages, and we had a little bit of bad blood for the reason he left, but before them, and he was like, hey man, so what are you going to do with Val? And I was like, well, I want to keep pushing for it, honestly, I'm not really sure. And he's like, well, let me join back as captain, and we'll push this back as hard as we can. But let me give you a big thing. Clutch is a really busy guy. He's a full-time YouTuber, so it was hard for him to keep a high position like that and to keep putting time into Vile when it wasn't giving him much beneficiality. When he was a full-time YouTuber, he was streaming a lot. So I understood that completely, but we still pushed for it. Then we started rebuilding. We had I think an RC or 2, and then eventually the same thing happened. Personal problems really got to me, and basically the same thing happened. It kind of fell down a little bit, and some people left. Recently, I had to go to the doctor actually about some of the problems, and he asked me. He was like, "So, what's stuff that you enjoy doing in your life? Like, what's some actually like big things that you like to do?" And I kind of gave him like a little bit, like not much information, but I gave him about the business thing and like about Vile, and he was like, well, honestly, if I were you, I would push Vile, because obviously if you've pushed it for this long, it makes you happy, then you need to keep pushing for it and make it as best as you can. So that really motivated me. That was actually yesterday. That's when I looked back in the chat. I was like, you know what, I just need to push this. I mean, I know there's always going to be fans, or past fans, and maybe even past Vile members that don't support me in rebuilding it, but honestly, it's been such a big part of my life that I can't just end it. And I think he's right about the happiness part, because that's one thing that I did do, and I wouldn't have kept pushing for it if I didn't believe in it. So I believed in it, and I still believe in it. So Vile's not over. I'm going to push for it again, and I'm going to put more time into it than I've ever put into it. I just hope that this time it actually pushes more than what's happened in the past. So a lot of players that used to be in Vile envied, and Mudpit made their own team called Luxury Gaming. So Luxury Gaming, shout out to y'all. Y'all are a beast team. Keep pushing for what y'all believe in too. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody that's ever been in Team Vile, any fans, anybody that's ever even liked a Twitter post, anybody that's ever retweeted, because if it wasn't for y'all, Team Vile would have never been where it even got to. Team Vile, at its top, was getting 800,000 impressions a month on Twitter, and I felt like I was at the top of my game back then. I was so excited about all that. That was a big step and a crazy thing for me to see 800,000 impressions on Twitter, because this was like the first project I'd ever seen actually come to light and actually start working. So thank you for everybody that ever took a chance with Team Vile, and hopefully we can still see some support. That's basically how Team Vile was started, why I started it, the main impacts on Team Vile, and basically what we plan to keep doing with it. So also, before I end this video, I want to give one huge shout out to Easy SMX Gaming. They have supported us through the falls and rises in Team Vile. So everything that they've ever done, they've helped us so much that a lot of the giveaways we've done, they've given us the free merchandise for it. They've paid us monthly just to help run Vile. So most of the art, all that's a big shout out to Easy SMX Gaming. It's one of the reasons it thrives so much too. Anyways, guys, I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did like it, make sure to comment what you thought. Yeah, make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed it, and drop a comment, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for everybody coming out and listening. Peace out.